my business. Big man and witness my musical litmus. Just for your fitness, beg my forgiveness. My records go Guinness, so be my apprentice. Unicorn hacking in Venice, angel investors, my internet tennis. Still criminal till I spill it to finish. Survival the fittest, the digital menace. I'm still in idle the scene, popping them volumes and sipping caffeine. Marshall web packets in a routine that I write to a stream with a proxy between. Embedded radix and word, macros disabled, your boy ain't deterred. Wire transferred, social the teller and teller you heard about the king nerd. I keep it suave on the phone, shut off utilities, black out your home. Cracking the wireless back with a drone, keep them at clone, Dion's the zone.
Well, welcome to episode 7 of the Canceled Podcast with Cyan and Lee. Lee.
Hello. How's everybody out there? I know everybody is a little concerned and hopefully isolating away from the public.
Yeah.
We are here today. We're not in the normal studio. We are in a special studio. It is the yarn room.
Yeah, it's a room that basically has multiple shelves filled with every color of yarn you can imagine, but mostly predominantly blue, as Lee pointed out to me.
There's a lot of blue.
Yeah.
But your name is Cyan, so it matches.
Look at all my yarn aspirations. All of the dream projects that I
have
wanted.
really fine yarn, fuzzy yarn, and then like really thick,
bulky yarn.
Yeah,
the thick bulky yarn is great for being kind of lazy knitting, so that you have the payoff faster. So you knit with it and then you get a big piece of something faster.
You just cover more ground.
Yeah, and then you feel really accomplished. The fine yarn, like you just want to pull all your hair out because it takes forever to do anything.
And that's the stuff, well, that's kind of like this right here. I'm just showing some thin sort of yarn. This is the sort of stuff that the lady at the fair kind of sewed your, what is that? What is that? It's not a scarf.
Parka. It's like a parka. We went to the Dickens Fair together for Christmas.
Which is awesome.
It's
it
the best
smells
ever.
like Christmas.
It smells and looks like Christmas from old England. It's called the Dickens Fair because people dress up in costume from the Dickens era of stories, and you have people running around in character and all that sort of stuff. Anyway, there was this woman who was hand looming fabric, and it was fantastic. And she made her very own.
She brought a loom with her. Was she from Washington or Oregon?
I think Oregon, because I bought another thing from her, and I think she's in Oregon.
Yeah, she brought it all the way down here, and
maybe she'll unsponsor our next podcast, and we can promote her wonderful,
beautiful. We'll have to find
work.
out what her company's called and not be sponsored by it.
Yeah, and not be sponsored. You know what I'll do is the next podcast I'll wear it, and then we can talk about her some more.
Great.
Because
her stuff business. Yeah, I mean it's really good stuff.
Yeah, she's a master artisan at making cloth. She's been doing it, I think she said, for 30 some years, and it's the most beautiful, soft, amazing cloth ever, and it's done in a very old-fashioned way. But yeah, no, she makes her own everything part of it.
Yeah, I mean she makes her own yarn. Period.
Yeah.
Like not just the clothes from yarn, but she makes her own yarn.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah. It's about as original as you get.
I have not made any of this yarn because I suck. No, I like supporting yarn makers.
You're not going to sit there and spin and use like those little combs to kind of brush the fabrics and then get them to twist up.
No, but every single one of these colors was a dream project I thought about doing and didn't do.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, the good thing is you have plenty of time now.
Yeah, maybe I'll make a Corona blanket.
There you go.
A coronavirus blanket.
Just like a little memento.
Yep, so I can always remember this. Not that I'm ever going to forget. I don't think anyone's ever going to forget this. This is like a very... someone tweeted this the other day. I think it was Naval or Balaji, that there's before the Corona COVID-19 and after COVID-19.
Mm-hmm.
I've decided to call it the CCP virus.
The Chinese Communist Party virus.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Or the Corona Communist Party virus. I don't know. Either one of them works. But there's this huge debate going on right now about whether or not to call it the China virus. Some people call it the Chinese virus.
Mm-hmm.
The Wuhan virus. And we have a long history, as you pointed out to me the other day, of viruses being named after where they come from.
That's generally been what has, there's also always like a medical codified name, but then there's always just, a slang term for it. So, and sometimes they're just recognized by that.
Yeah,
So
unfortunately, the Spanish flu
like
was not
Ebola.
Spain.
No, Spanish flu was not Spain.
Yeah.
The interesting thing with the Spanish flu was that was the only nation during World War I that wasn't censoring news, that didn't have censorship. So there's
Came from Kansas, right?
Well, there's speculation on that. Some research suggested that it came from China, and then other research suggested that it came from a military base in the U.S. and then was taken to France.
Huh. Okay.
So
regardless, was not Spanish.
But it wasn't Spanish. No.
Yeah, but it became the Spanish flu.
And then you have Ebola.
Ebola.
Come on. It's
you say that's a river?
It's named after the Ebola River.
Okay.
So, of course, naming something after a region is not racist, but this is what the CCP does. They have so ingrained the Communist Party with Chinese identity and Chinese history and culture that their defense mechanism is to call someone racist or bigoted or whatever if they are opposed to the CCP. Because they're like, well, you can't speak about the CCP that way. We're China. Well, no, you're not China. You're the CCP. You killed 60 million of your own people.
Yeah.
That's not a good thing. You're not very Chinese.
That's why I think we should call it the CCP virus.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I do see a point around Chinese Americans being harmed. I've met even tourists that were from other countries who were not Chinese, who were Asian, from various different countries who have had slurs thrown at them by people. This couple that I met actually had drinks thrown at them.
And I think you said they were from Korea?
I think they were Korea. Yeah, Korean. Regardless.
And that was because they were wearing masks.
They were wearing masks at that time. They were just tourists wearing masks.
Yeah, which was before even the height of this sort of paranoia and scare.
And so I can imagine it's getting worse. And there's people on Twitter who have expressed that they've experienced some of this, people like covering themselves and running away from them. And, I would just tell them to retort back, I'm American, you assholes.
Yeah.
I'm a fucking American. But yeah, there's really no room or space right now for people to be treating anyone badly. So that's why I just came up with CCP. I don't think I'm the only person who came up with it, but I started promoting the CCP virus because it takes sort of the Chinese part out of it and it pokes the finger right back into the government, which they can't stand.
Yeah.
They've started.
Well, they're trying to.
They're trying to say we did it.
They're trying to blame it on the U.S. military. They're trying to say that its origin was America and it was a weaponized attack or something.
Well, they're trying to say that we were in Wuhan for some kind of.
And then we engineered this virus, just all sorts of ridiculous shit. And they're trying to pass the buck and not take the blame for it because they don't want to see it as their fault. But it is their fault. They're the ones that covered it up. They're the ones that threw physicians and people that were trying to, be the canary in the coal mine and raise the alarm. They were throwing them in prison.
I mean, it's entirely possible. Let's put our tinfoil hats on. It's entirely possible that it's a manufactured virus that came from outside of China. We don't know if it came from us or who it came from. I've heard lots of different theories, but we probably will never know the truth.
Mm.
But we do know that they suppressed speech and they killed people by doing so.
Yeah.
I mean,
and even in their containment was pretty
even
barbaric.
if it didn't come from that meat market, because a lot of people say it might not.
Yeah. So everything they've done has been very extreme and very barbaric, and not in the interest of their people. Did it save some other parts of China? Maybe, probably, but you also have to keep in mind that you had people jumping out of apartment buildings because they were starving to death, or their spouse was dead and like decomposing in the bed. It's just because they welded shut the buildings.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
Do you believe that they have 0 cases right now?
No.
I don't believe it either.
No, you can't believe anything from that regime.
I mean, the one thing you can start seeing now
and then the other cases that they say that are showing up, they're saying they're from foreign visitors. They're from outside of the country. They're not
How
Chinese.
can you even possibly know? Oh, I guess it's because there's different strains of it. Like you can trace the genetic lineage of it.
So
that was another claim that they were making, that patient 0 couldn't have existed in China because the disease that they have is a child of,
Yeah, things mutate when they hit new
yeah.
DNA strains. I mean, human beings are very diversified with their DNA.
Yeah, the claim
So
here that
when a virus infects different people with different immune systems or different heritage, different backgrounds, they can have different mutations because human beings have different mutations. So the virus can change its own the way it operates.
yeah. The
So you get different strains.
I don't know if you read this, but it's actually pretty fascinating. The some of the propaganda they're trying to spread is, if you remember a little while back, we had some people mysteriously dying from vaping.
Yeah, oh yeah, from
And
the oils and stuff
yeah,
that were
and
in.
all of the symptoms that they had are exactly the same as COVID-19. So they're saying, oh, that was those were patient zeros. It happened then. And that's where we can point to where the first outbreaks, the mysterious outbreaks started happening. I also started reading in Italy that they started having mysterious pneumonia cases as early as, I think it was November. And then keep in mind that Italy's being hit particularly hard because in the area of Milan and surrounding area, that is a heavy industrial epicenter of Italy, and they have the fashion industry is there, and so there's a lot of factory workers. And guess where the factory workers come from?
Let me guess. It is a free economic zone from China.
From Wuhan.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they come from Wuhan, and so they've probably been going in and out of Wuhan for quite some time.
Well, not even that. After Chinese New Year, you had 5 million people leave Wuhan. They went back to where
Italy.
they were going.
Yeah. And then Italy also has an older population.
And so the weird thing is that linkage was kind of puzzling a lot of us. And then you got to think about, the supply lines and these manufacturing
Yeah, it completely
lines.
puzzled me. I'm like, what?
It's like, why is
what
all
is
of a sudden
going on
Italy
there?
being attacked with this virus?
I mean, I think it's because they've been exposed to it for so long,
Yeah.
and they actually didn't know. And, yeah, so it's interesting times. There's a lot to think about. I have a friend who I won't name because I think, they have a very controversial opinion right now. And I think that to protect them from cancel backlash, I'm not going to say who they are.
Because we don't support canceling.
Right. It's sad. This person should be able to express this opinion openly, but I actually advised him not to because he was going to write a Medium post about it. And I was like, the tensions are too high right now. Like, I don't want you to be canceled because you basically are writing some pretty strong, reasonable arguments for your position. So my friend's position is that not that this is a hoax, but that we're reading the data wrong and that we are overreacting. So we now have a bet. And the bet was this person doesn't believe that our hospital system will become overburdened. And if we all do our job to stay inside, well, of course that would be the case, right? So there's no way to prove anything either way. But we do have Florida. So we made a bet about Florida. And because Florida has been a party zone for spring break, this does affect young people. There's the whole myth that young people are unaffected. They don't die, but they can be hospitalized. They can need ventilators. And they could die if they don't get help, right? If we're overburdened. Florida is a retirement epicenter.
Which is a terrible combination.
It's a terrible combination. I think the only thing they probably have on their side maybe is heat. Maybe. So,
but I mean, even with the heat, that just basically refers to fomite exposure, which is like a virus living on a surface. So when you have that increased heat, of course, it's going to be more difficult for the virus to be transmitted by sitting latent on some surface because of the heat that's been accumulating on the surface. It's too hot for the virus to stay alive.
Right.
And also in the air, it's harder for it to be transmitted through the air a little bit. But
it's also very
but it doesn't mean
humid.
It doesn't mean it's impossible.
Yeah.
By any means, especially when we're seeing pictures from Florida to where like a quarter mile down the beach, you just have people shoulder to shoulder.
I saw pictures of people putting their face up in other people's bums.
Yeah.
And, having a...
They're way too close.
Yeah, they were very close to each other. There was no social distancing going on.
And the bad thing is you have all of those kids that are out of school. They're not going to be going back to school. School's going to be closed for the rest of the semester, and it's probably not going to pick up till fall. And they're going to just go back to wherever they came from.
Yeah.
It might be the university, the area like Ohio. They might have gone to the University of Ohio, Missouri, my state, Arkansas. All these college kids, they go down to Florida, down to the Panhandle. That's just what they've done.
Oh yeah, they go from Georgia, Alabama.
So they're going to be going back and taking those viruses back to their grandparents, and their family, and it's going to get worse.
Yeah. So I think that's my bet. Is I actually believe this pandemic is real. I do not want to see what happens if we don't social distance and secure ourselves at home.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, I believe, could die. And I don't think they're going to die because we can't treat this. I think they would die because I do believe we would overwhelm the healthcare system. We are not set up for something like this.
No.
And so my bet is that Florida, unfortunately, I hate taking bets like this because I don't want to be right. And hopefully I'm completely wrong and my friend is right. That Florida will become overwhelmed. And our bet is based off of if they run out of ventilators, then I win. I don't want to win because that sucks. It's a sucky bet. But, I really hope my friend is right. They're taking a very optimistic point of view of we're overreacting and everything will go back to normal soon. And they had some really compelling arguments. For example, I brought up the mass graves in Iran.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, yeah, there's mass graves in Iran because they're not allowing any funerals.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not allowing any funerals, you have mass graves. And I was like, oh, that's a really good point.
But I mean, even if, okay.
But if you look at the Italian death toll, obituaries, they used to be like a page of obituaries. Now they're up to like 11 or 12 or 13 pages of obituaries. That's clearly an indication that the death rate is rising, and that's not normal. But they said that the death rate is about this during flu season, but I don't believe that.
No. Yeah, well, I mean, I doubt the newspaper is going to be filled up during the flu season, right? And a lot of these people, they're not old.
Yeah.
But again, I don't know. There's so many variables. Even if you're talking about high death rates, you could even factor in the higher rates of people from a different region or a different country that are more prone to smoking. So people in a European country that are heavy smokers, if you've already done damage to your lungs and you don't have the lung capacity or the O2 capacity, you're going to have a much harder time with a pulmonary disease, a pulmonary virus, and you're probably going to die. So even if it's not even if in this country, if you're a smoker, you probably shouldn't be smoking.
Yeah.
Because if you get something like this, it's just going to be the end.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard to come back.
I think that, interestingly, this friend asked me my opinion on all of this stuff. And I was like, dude, I hate to say this, but I don't really have time to have an opinion right now. Like, I am so thankful for all of the people in my life who help me right now. My employees, if you're listening, hi. Because I have become a vet, a cook, a cleaner, a child caretaker. Well, I always was a child caretaker, but even more so. What else have I become? I've been picking up all sorts of job duties.
Yeah, we're gonna have to clean out the chicken coop pretty soon.
Yeah. We got to clean the chicken coop tomorrow or the next day.
Yeah.
I've been getting away with not cleaning the chicken coop for a while, and because I have a lovely person who comes and does that, but we're trying to protect them right now.
So all of us here are in isolation, so that's why we aren't in the studio.
Yep.
We're trying to, for everybody's health and everybody's health in this house, stay isolated from people, just like everyone else should be doing. If you don't absolutely positively have to go out, don't.
Yeah, we have a family member who's immunocompromised who is going through chemo, and so we're trying desperately to protect him. And Yeah. So this is pretty unprecedented. I've never in my life experienced a shutdown like this.
No, of course not.
Um, it's really fascinating. I've been seeing all sorts of interesting behaviors. I think some people have gone into full on this is war, everyone's going to die mode, and some people have gone into a much more optimistic, sort of loving, nothing but good can come from this mode, which is really interesting. So some people are like, wow, we're going to be so different and so connected as a result of this. It is interesting because I've got people I haven't heard from in ages who are sending me text messages checking on me, which is really sweet.
I had an ex-girlfriend message me, and I'm like, why are you contacting me? Don't worry about me.
That's sweet, though.
No, she doesn't deserve to talk to me.
Oh, okay. You don't like her.
No,
all right.
Just let it go.
Well, she was thinking about you.
She knows that I'm out here in San Francisco, so that's why.
Oh.
Yeah.
She's jelly?
I don't know. Well, why would you? I mean, this is like ground zero. It's like, I wish I was there.
Is she hoping you're sick?
Maybe.
Oh.
Maybe. She's like, I just hope he's like sick.
Just
let me text and see and double check. I'm like, no, I'm fine.
Well, that's the disgusting part of this is some people actually are wishing this sickness on people. I mean, that is like awful.
Yeah.
I've been reading some awful things on Citizen where people are just like, oh, great, this is how we solve our homeless problem here in San Francisco. I'm like, are you...
and I think...
I know they're just mostly trolling, but there's probably a part truth in there.
Oh, you mean from the death tolls?
No, people are just like hoping that they get the sick and die.
Well, that's what I'm saying, like the death tolls from people on the street. I thought you were talking about... I've also seen it on the other side to where people, for housing rights and all this are like, all right, now we're going to have the power of government to like take over these buildings and then solve the homeless. So I've seen the other side of the homeless thing. Instead of, hopefully they'll just disappear to like Matt Haney saying the other day that they should take over the W Hotel and then like house all these people. It's like stealing a fucking hotel is not your solution. You should have fixed this years ago.
Yeah. I don't think you can just steal property.
No.
I don't know. I mean, we can if we go into some sort of like martial law type of thing, then I think you can.
Yeah, you can temporarily.
So house officers, right?
But here's the weird thing. We're also seeing the local government releasing people and petitioning to release people from prison because of being worried about housing people for, in this event of COVID to prevent outbreaks. But then they're wanting to round up the homeless and put them in a shelter in a confined area. So the argument doesn't work both ways. It's like, so...
If we get martial law, this will be the reason why.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there are already businesses, not most of them, but there are some businesses around here in San Francisco that have cut plywood up and boarded up their windows because they don't want their places looted. They don't want their windows broken. They don't want their property damaged.
If you notice the citizen alerts, that it's clearly happening.
Yes.
Like almost a majority of my alerts I'm getting right now are burglaries.
Fights.
Fights in grocery stores, fights at McDonald's, fights on the street, random fist fights. The grocery stores is really sad. There's break-ins, both commercial break-ins as well as domestic break-ins.
Mm-hmm.
Car theft. So I also saw there was a Amazon truck that was hijacked and stolen. Lots of carjacking. Where was it that I pointed at Philadelphia, right? It was Philly that basically says that you can just steal a car there right now.
Oh yeah, that they're not going to enforce the law pretty much.
You just steal a car.
Yeah.
I mean the positive thing. I mean I'm pro prostitution. You can be a prostitute there now.
But you wouldn't want to be a prostitute right now.
I know you wouldn't.
No.
But I'm just saying
That'd be
you
dangerous.
can.
Extra dangerous.
It's okay right now. Please don't go be a prostitute in Philly.
Well, and I saw somebody tweeting. So I live over in the shitty part of the city. I'm glad to be away from it. That's thankfully I came here to stay with y'all because I was downtown where all of this craziness goes on. But I was seeing some of the people that are still over there posting on social media, going through the Tenderloin or whatever, saying that all the drug dealers are out. Like everybody's out. They're not afraid of law enforcement, and there's even more of abundance of them on the streets now. So apparently it's just working its way to fall apart even more.
Mm. Good times.
But out of this, oh, and you were saying like people are trying to stay optimistic. I keep seeing the doom and gloom shit. It's the end of the world. It's the worst economic thing, blah, blah, blah. And there are other people championing because they're trying to blame this on Trump and some perverse, weird idea to where this is somehow good because it makes him look bad or whatever. Just craziness.
I mean, in all fairness, I mean, I don't like the man, but this is an unprecedented event in which.
But he's actually been handling it really well.
How is anyone supposed to handle it?
Yeah.
Like, I challenge anyone who's pointing a finger at him saying, you should have handled this better, to step up.
Yeah.
And try to handle it better, because
yeah.
I don't know how a lot of people could actually handle this.
No. I mean, so my position is more optimistic because I think that we are going to be able to recover.
I believe, obviously we'll be able to recover.
We'll be able to recover. And I don't think it's going to be, a depression. I don't think that we're going to be tied down with this for 5 or 10 years like some people. It's mostly it's better for us to go ahead and get it over as quickly as possible and get our supply lines back online, and get things back to normal. And hopefully by the third quarter, final quarter, fourth quarter, that we can be ramping up and get closer to normal.
Well, just like any sort of wartime, there's going to be jobs available, but they're not going to be glamorous.
Yeah.
So I think that if you're looking for work, you're going to have to, if you're able-bodied and can do it, there's warehouse jobs. There's going to be tons of delivery jobs, food, and the infrastructure around food right now.
And none of this is permanent. So
no, it's not permanent.
That's also
it would just
to keep
be
in mind.
Temporary thing.
There are a lot of layoffs going on. It's terrible, but it's a reality for a lot of businesses trying to stay alive. Small businesses, it's going to be very, very tough.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have the same sort of runways or capital that larger companies have.
I'm dealing already with some of the companies I've invested in having to have layoffs.
Yeah, and it's terrible, but it's short term.
Yeah.
So we'll get over it. Yeah, I told you I talked to my dad, and he wanted to just remind me that he's like, I called it. I told you this was going to happen. And then I talked to him again a couple days later, and then same shit. It's like, okay, Dad, I get it. You called doom and gloom. It's like, if you call for a recession or depression for long enough, eventually you'll hit it.
A broken clock is right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I think this is going to be an opportunity where we can have plenty of opportunity, new creation. People are thinking and brainstorming at home right now, creating new businesses and startups right now.
Yeah, unfortunately, some people don't have the luxury to be at home right now.
Yeah.
And I think we need to be mindful of that too. Like, there's people on the front lines who are essential, healthcare staff, food workers.
Working with equipment shortages and protective
garbage people. Yeah. Like the city, working for the electric grid. Mm-hmm. There's people that are at work right now who don't get to the luxury of working from home. Working from home is a privilege.
It is.
If you're able to work from home right now, you are privileged. Trust me. There's a lot of people who wish they could work from home who are out of work. And so, they're just sheltering in place, but they're out of work.
Yeah.
So,
it's definitely going to be tough, but
yeah,
we'll find a way.
Yeah, I think one of my friends had a really nice idea. He's going to open up his house as a soup kitchen soon, because he predicts that some people will have hard times when it comes to food. And I guess it's just something he really wants to do. And so I'm excited about it over in Oakland. And if he ever announces that he's doing it, then we'll promote that. But I think that he wanted to make soup, like actual soup, coffee soup. I don't know what the history is behind the coffee soup. But it has some historical meaning of some kind.
I haven't heard of a coffee soup.
Yeah, coffee soup. And he really wants to serve soup and help feed, his neighbors. I saw Mike Arrington tweet today, about giving to food banks, and imploring people to tweet about what they're doing for their community. I have been secretly, or not so secretly, Venmoing people, when I see Uber drivers or gig workers or, people that have really compelling stories. I've been, sending them a little bit of money here and there. Um, some people, it can make all the difference in the world if you give them $100. They can like pay for their storage fees or, be able to have food for some time. So that's nice. I think that it is good that people um, can't be evicted right now.
Mm.
I think that is hard on a homeowner, but at the same time,
And no foreclosures either.
yeah, no foreclosures. Um, so that the other thing is homeowners aren't on the hook for those payments right now either. And so I think those were all positive steps to take to protect the public. A lot of people think like I'm a complete anarchist and I don't believe in any sort of enforcement or laws of any sort, but that's not the case. Um, anyway, I don't know what else to say. I haven't had a lot of time to think this through. I've been like a lot of people just on Twitter kind of digesting news in little snippets throughout the day.
And it can be overwhelming.
It's so
It's just,
overwhelming.
yeah,
There's
it's
just so
a
much
flood
information.
of,
And we're trying to figure this all out with really, really flawed information. There's so much stuff being thrown at us, and we're trying to be citizen scientists, right? And you see all these people putting together these charts and graphs, but like you can't know that any of this data is real.
No.
And I just found out that one of the corona tests, and I don't know which one, there's different versions coming out of different places in different countries, has a 50% false positive rate. And, that's really great. So I don't think we're going to know the truth about any of this for quite some time.
Yeah.
Maybe ever. The only thing we know is the death rate. That is the only true number. It's really only the number that counts.
That also varies from country to country as well. So that's not even solid.
Yeah.
But and it also depends on how you're counting numbers again, like you were saying, known cases, known infections versus known deaths.
Right.
So junk in, junk out is basically what happens when you look at numbers and trying to tally stuff. So if you don't have good data, you're not going to have good results.
Right. And I read many reports that China was not even classifying a lot of people who died. They were just like, we don't have time for this. We can't test them. We got to move on. And they would just cremate them. And that was the end of it.
So I mean, the good thing is like even with my mom, hospitals across the country are listening to their leadership. They're having weekly phone conferences and with larger, higher ranking officials, and then regional meetings like every day, just based on what's happening, what's changing, new methods, new methodologies, new drugs, new treatments, whatever, and also new protective measures for themselves. So the amazing thing is the rapid deregulation that this administration has.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's pretty miraculous, actually.
Yeah. And that's the amazing thing, to where
I mean, it should be this way anyway.
It should have been this way anyway, just for drug classification or testing or bringing new drugs to market. It should have been a lot easier, or developing new treatments or new devices or whatever. So the good thing is one of the things that I guess no one knew about, and I sure as hell didn't, that they couldn't use like commercial masks in hospitals, like those N95s, like from 3M.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There was some restriction that they could.
Why?
Because it wasn't like a medical certified blah, blah, blah in some regulation somewhere.
Wow.
And so now that they got rid of that sort of restriction, they can wear like 3M masks and stuff in the hospitals. And so even down in Arkansas, where my mom's working in the clinics, they have to wear N95 masks.
Well, that's a good thing. It could save lives.
Yeah, it helps reduce their exposure.
Yeah, I mean, the healthcare workers are at the brunt of this. Like, they are constantly being re-exposed.
And the bad thing is, a lot of people don't know in this country is, especially in some specialties, in medical specialties, there's different, specialties that physicians focus on, but the median age of physicians are in the danger zone. So they're 55 plus, 50 years old plus.
Yeah, if you look at the list of doctors in Italy that have died, it's so sad.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of young doctors in this country.
No.
That are in specialties. If they are, they're probably general practitioners, but yeah. So it's a risky situation, but
Well, on the bright side, I feel less lonely having you here and also the chickens. So it's really nice because every day my routine is basically to feed myself and everyone and keep everything clean and kind of orderly, to make sure we have enough food and all of those sorts of things. I mean, Lee is self-sufficient. He doesn't need me to feed him, but I do feed him, and he accepts.
I brought plenty of food.
He brought his own supplies, of course.
It's almost embarrassing the amount of shit that I brought.
It's great. He even brought his full set of golf clubs. Because why not?
Why?
In a tree.
Practice on my swing or something. Whatever. I've got a putting green downstairs, so I can go and practice.
We have a putting
indoors.
green. Yeah, and then we have these 4 adorable chickens that lay 4 eggs a day. One of them had a poopy butt, which is really concerning. Still has a poopy butt, and so I had to give it a bath 2 days in a row. Wet chicken does not smell good.
No.
Yeah.
So you've had chicken spa days.
Yeah, a couple of chicken spa days. There was one chicken that got attacked by another chicken and had a bloody comb, and so I had to give that one a bath to try to figure out where all that blood was coming from. And apparently you can't leave a chicken bloody because then all the other chickens start pecking at it.
Because they get a taste for blood or something.
Yeah, and they're like, "Woo, blood."
But they're not like pecking at her butt saying, "Ooh, poop."
Yeah, no. Thank goodness. But yeah, no, now it has a poopy butt again today. So if you're listening to this and you know anything about chicken poopy butt, please reach out to me because I'm at my wit's end. I put apple cider vinegar in their water. I ordered some probiotic stuff to add to the food. Because I suspect it's like diarrhea or worms or something. I have no idea. Or maybe she's just, poopy. I don't know. But
sometimes you have days.
I gotta say, grooming a chicken and the best part about spa baths for the chickens is the blow drying afterwards. You get to blow dry them with a blow dryer and you watch their little feathers fluff up afterwards and they're all nice and clean.
And when they just like hunker down in the corner and they're like, oh, I love this feeling.
Oh yeah. They're like, ooh. And to get them to like comply, I give them lots of grubs so that eventually they'll be like, okay, bath equals grubs.
It's like, sure, I'll jump in that tub of water.
Yeah, get me in there. I want the grubs. It's interesting because when I post pictures of the chickens on Twitter, people just light up because they're like, I'm here for this. This is great. They're like, chicken Twitter. Sorry, that is a tongue twister right there. Chicken Twitter is best Twitter. Say that 5 times fast.
Yeah. Well, and I think we're probably going to make some videos and stuff just for fun with chickens. And
yeah.
Just on, something to do.
I'll probably finally take up quilting, which is also, there's lots of quilting fabric in this room and felting. I love felting.
And that's where
hopefully I'll work on my book at some point. Usually at night I'm too tired and the creative juices are not flowing. So that's problematic. I got to figure out how to get some alone time to write.
Yeah. We can block out a section of the day.
Yeah, I need to do that. What else? Been drinking my matcha. I have to have a matcha every day. Luckily, I have enough to, I think, survive for a few months.
So you're already stocked up. That's your survival.
Yeah, I have my survival matcha. It's a grade A ceremonial from the
Japanese
baby
tea.
Leaves off of
some special mountain
green
somewhere.
Leaves and some special mountain picked by tweezers by old Japanese ladies matcha. It's very special. It's from Breakaway Matcha, who is not a sponsor, but they ought to be. So yeah, Breakaway Matcha is the best matcha you can ever have.
Talking about sponsors, today's podcast is not brought to you by Prairie's Choice non-GMO backyard chicken feed.
Oh, thank goodness for Prairie's Choice.
Absolutely. But if Prairie's Choice would like to send some extra bags of chicken feed, you'll be more than welcome.
My chickens are non-GMO chickens.
They only have the best.
They only have the best. They only eat organic, non-GMO feed.
And then you get organic eggs.
Yes, organic eggs. There's a lot of bad stuff in this world that's organic. There's diseases, poisons.
There's coronavirus. That's
coronavirus. Yeah, it's organic. All organic. Might be genetically modified, so I can't say it's non-GMO, but
Yeah.
it's all organic.
But But you think about that, and all this nature stuff, and people like to elicit some, vision of what wholesomeness is and nature is. Also, keep in mind radiation's natural.
Hey, by the
All
way,
sorts of bad stuff's natural.
something just popped into my brain, completely non sequitur. I saw an interview the other day of the people. There's a band that believes that they were one of the first groups to get canceled from cancel culture.
Oh, the
Dixie Chicks.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Well, I remember it. Well, I didn't see the interview.
Do you
but
remember the history behind that? I might have to look it up.
Well, it was back when Bush was going to war. Bush 43. Is that right? 43?
I think that's correct.
Yeah. So Bush 43, he was going into Iraq and everything, and so the lead singer, I forget her name. She has blonde, like the blonde short hair.
Yeah,
Anyway,
the
she was
blonde one.
she was very outspoken. She was very outspoken against Bush and going to war and all this war oil, blah 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 stuff. And so her fans are from fucking Texas. And
Yeah.
they're like, "Don't you talk about Bush. He owns the baseball team down here and he's a Texan." And so yeah.
Canceled.
It's like, "We're not buying your shit." And then they had like people, I think, had bulldozers running over piles of their CDs and stuff.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
All sorts of stuff.
Well, that's so. I think that might be one of. There's that, and then
they were like all out. Fuck the Dixie Chicks.
Yeah, and then there was Monica Lewinsky. She was canceled
by Hillary.
In the most nasty and vicious way. And now they're like coming out and actually talking about it, admitting to it, and poor woman's life was like destroyed.
Well, it was ruined for quite a while.
Yeah, I mean she's making a comeback right now. She's resilient, but
it sucks for her and everything that happened. She was a college girl doing, just being a young adult. I guess in a situation that she wasn't fully aware of. I don't know.
She's having fun.
Or she might have just been having fun. She's like, "Oh yeah, I'm with the president."
She has,
So whatever. She's an adult.
She's into daddy stuff.
Maybe. Lots of girls are. And then they message you when you're in a hot zone. It's like, I don't need you checking on daddy. But no, what was it from a documentary or something from Bill Clinton? There was a little sound clip that just came out saying that he did that to relieve his stress or his anxiety.
Yeah.
So I
destroyed a life to relieve my anxiety.
Yeah,
why not?
I just get a blowjob from a college girl to relieve my stress.
Yeah, why not? It's just
like just boiling down that whole thing. One, he was impeached over it, so it's not just blowing. It's not a small issue.
That was some short-term thinking.
Yeah, he was disbarred.
Oh,
he can't be an attorney anymore.
Almost
for the rest
lost
of
his marriage.
Well,
maybe.
Maybe
it was coordinated.
Who knows what that arrangement
House
is between
of Cards
the two of them?
Thing going on with those guys.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I've never seen.
And then Hillary has the gall to say, "Oh, she just needs to move on."
Oh yeah, go fuck yourself.
What?
You single-handedly were behind the scenes trying to ruin that girl's life.
Would it be the end of the world for them to just apologize
and just say, "I fucked up. I'm sorry."
I think Monica would really appreciate it, and I think she seems like I don't know her, but she seems like the kind of person who would really be touched by that.
And it might surprise you, but most Arkansans don't like the Clintons, and it's because of shit like that. It makes Arkansas look terrible.
Well, did you notice that she has a southern draw whenever she goes south?
It's very convenient, right?
Yeah, but doesn't have an accent whatsoever.
No,
when she's
of course.
Up
They're
north.
New Yorkers. As soon as he left office in Washington, they lived in New York over in it's not Brooklyn. Where are they?
I don't know.
Anyway, she had an office over there in New York, and so
the
they
stuff
just
she's doing to
identified
Bernie
as New
Sanders
Yorkers.
too is pretty despicable.
Yeah.
Like, what about timing there? Come out and speak against Bernie right now. Why?
Mm-hmm. Bernie's already losing his shit. He's like, "I'm dealing with an outbreak, a virus, and fucking dealing with it."
Yeah.
It's like,
I'm trying to be presidential here.
Well, you know who is being presidential about it? Trump. Trump's actually handling it pretty well, I think. So, he's doing his best. like him or not.
You know, some people just heard that and just lost their fucking mind.
Well, great. You know, I'm an American. I can say whatever. Cancel me. I don't care. If he's doing good shit, I'm going to say he's doing good shit. That's just the way it is.
I actually really appreciated when the reporter was asking him about, you know, why he keeps calling it the Chinese virus. And he's like, 'cause it's from China.
Yeah.
And, you know, I was listening to that and I do believe it's important to not allow the CCP to brainwash people. We cannot side with the CCP.
No. Well, and this is what they do. They try
we
to
don't know the
narrative.
truth about where this virus is from, but it does not help the world. It does not help peace for people to believe the rhetoric that they're spewing right now.
So
and nor should we side with a communist country like that. Like, we should not.
No, we have politicians even here. We have what's his name? Scott Wiener. Is that his name?
Wiener, yeah.
Wiener over there in California Senate. He's repeating these talking points from the CCP. Because he hates Trump, of course.
Right.
But he's like, oh yeah, he is racist. This is racist. We have no time. America's better than this. It's like, you're just repeating the talking points of the CCP. What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, I can't know if a person's racist or not, because they're very, very overt about it. But the thing is that I think some people just cannot, like, at all, except when the Trump administration does something good, like, at all.
Yeah.
Like, for example, they're talking about, you know, a UBI type solution right now for all Americans, which is a shocking thing for Republicans, you know, to even think of. Andrew Yang was promoting this, right?
Well, Andrew Yang was promoting this as a permanent sort of funding or solution. This is a temporary Band-Aid. But
yeah,
yes.
But regardless, like, that should be celebrated. It should be celebrated that the government is looking into things like this and it's being led by, you know, a Republican administration. It's baffling to me because, but nobody can say, you know, yeah, good job when on the things that deserve that. You know, I think there are things I can understand why people are upset about certain things, but some of this is just like, right now is not the time to be partisan.
No.
You know, it's people's
this virus
lives
doesn't
are
care
at
what
stake.
the virus doesn't care what political party or ideology you have.
No. So I think it's time for us all to come together. He's the president we have. People say not my president. I'm so sorry, but he is your president. You can put your head in the sand like an ostrich as long as you like, but he's still your fucking president.
No.
And you know, and this whole thing of just we're going to wait until this is over. There's a very high likelihood he's going to be reelected and he will still be your fucking president. So it's time to get with the program and, you know, and please tell the administration when they're doing good things because we want them to continue to do good things.
It's positive reinforcement. So they're going to respond to it. If they're getting good poll numbers, if they're getting good response for this, then they will do more of it.
They'll do more of what you want. But the more that you rail against the good things, the more they can just wag their finger and say, you know, you're the opposition. Like what is wrong with you? There are things to get riled up about. Don't get me wrong, but you know.
But during a crisis, just chill out.
Like chill the fuck out.
Yeah.
Like nitpicking over the tiniest little things really does not make sense.
They're talking about these tests. Well, you have to keep in mind that 1, we're not other countries. 2, we're a pretty large country.
We also don't have the
and 3
manufacturing resources that China and Korea have
because we outsourced, unfortunately.
Correct.
And so that's one of the positive things I think that will come out of this.
We'll be less reliant on other countries.
I'm hoping that we'll have more repatriated services or manufacturing in this country that are vital for our national security, i.e. manufacturing drugs and medical supplies.
Yes.
Because we don't know what will happen.
Well, we discovered that some of our medicines, like we can't make them here.
Yeah. Because the precursor materials are made in China. And so even if you do have a facility that combines these components, the precursor materials, the original base materials, are not from here.
Mm-hmm. I have a friend who says that borders are fiction.
Yeah, they're imaginary, right? They're just made up in man's mind. Yeah, they're not real. No, they're very real.
Yeah.
Ask Germany. They put a concrete fence along one and shot people when they jumped over. They're very real.
Yeah.
And so the thing is, we had all this open-mindedness and embracing the world and immigration before the virus. Now,
people are coming to their senses.
I don't think that everybody wants everybody jumping the border to come into the country right now.
No, did you see that Canada's closed their border to us?
Yeah.
They don't want our refugees.
No.
They're like, do not.
No, I'm sorry. They didn't call them refugees.
Oh, what did they call them?
They called them irregular. The irregular travelers or something?
Irregular, what were they? Irregular immigrants. Irregulars.
Or irregular visitors.
Irregular visitors.
Yeah, I think
the word was irregular.
It was irregular.
Yeah, irregular.
Goddamn Canada.
We're the wordsmiths.
Always have to try to be so polite to not offend anybody. It's like, well, what's a word that won't hurt anybody's feeling?
Yeah.
Irregular.
Yeah, so if they have any irregular people, if you're trying to like flee to Canada, for whatever reason, you're irregular, you are not allowed. They will put you in a detention center and they will keep you there until America comes and picks you up.
Yeah.
But you notice there's not a lot of talk right now about our irregular immigrants at our southern border.
Where is that? Just welcome them on in.
No, nobody wants to welcome them right now, because we can't handle the load.
Give them free healthcare. Give them all that.
So, yeah, I don't. These things are nuanced and complicated, and you don't.
So it's very interesting how we have heard political rhetoric for years now about nationalism and how awful and terrible and demonic it is. And now what we're seeing are people putting aside their ideological differences and be like, hey, we do need to take care of this country. Our first interest is us. Our health
other countries are doing it.
Exactly.
Taiwan did it. Japan's doing it.
That's what happens.
Everybody's doing it because they have to shut their borders and they have to defend their citizens.
That's the only choice you've got.
It's kind of like a club. You're part of a club wherever you're born. You can give up your club membership. You can go someplace else, get different club membership. But we are part of Club USA. And some people are part of Club Iceland, Canada, whatever. And your country has different, ways of dealing with things. And if you don't like your club membership, you go someplace else. I mean, that is the one argument for taxes, is that you pay a certain amount of tax. I argue we pay too much. But you pay a certain amount of taxes to
a membership due,
be part of the club. And if you don't want to be part of the club and don't want to pay those taxes, you can go someplace else and pay their taxes.
Kind of, sort of.
I know it's not easy.
Kind of, sort of.
It's not easy because America wants to double tax you.
They'll tax you even if you leave. They'll be like, well, you're still American.
You're still American. But you can give up your U.S. citizenship completely.
Yeah. It's
just quite a process. I know a couple people who've tried.
Yeah. But one of the hopeful things that we'll see will be, like I said, repatriation of services. But I would really like to see our supply line move to Mexico. Sure,
it's closer to us.
Sure, we can get plenty of stuff from China, but you know what? Why don't we
less boats?
Why don't we reallocate all of the resources that we've been spending the last 30, 40 years building up China and building up their wealth and build up our fucking neighbor?
Right.
People that actually need it right now.
Yeah.
They have so many problems, drug cartels, etc. If we raise their national income and raise the job opportunities they have, they're not going to be as tempted to, take or solicit or, get in league with the drug cartels. And
it'd also be better for the environment in a lot of ways.
Yeah, we're not going to have like 10,000 ships and stuff going across the ocean burning just sludge. They don't burn diesel. They burn like sludge, polluting the atmosphere. So we would have much more, efficient turnaround from prototyping to the U.S. You can get it much quicker from Monterrey, Mexico, or whatever up into the U.S. via train. You're not going to pollute as much. They're electric hybrid train engines. That's what they are. They run on diesel, but they run their main power source through electricity.
Well, we would be better off as a country if we help our neighbors.
Absolutely. That's what we should be doing.
We should be doing that. It would help with national security in a lot of ways.
It would help with, stabilizing the immigration issue.
Mm-hmm.
We wouldn't have as many people jumping the borders. And you know what that would? It would normalize our relationship with Mexico. That would allow us to relax some of these visas, to relax some of these visiting restrictions.
Right.
because we wouldn't be facing this huge wave of people. So let's, as a country, if anyone out there is listening that's running a big ass company or even a small company, really think,
can I manufacture
can
this?
I manufacture closer to home?
Yeah.
Can I manufacture in Central America? Can I manufacture in Mexico? Because again, we've gone on about empowering the CCP many, many, many times, but that's all we're doing.
Yeah.
And the argument that we hear a lot
if
is,
the CCP falls,
China,
then I would be all about helping people in China.
But we hear this argument all the time about, well, no one can compete with China. They can prototype and they can do all this really quickly and they have the manpower, blah, 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 blah. But you're still protecting and empowering and enriching a really evil regime.
Yes.
And why not just give our money to a neighbor? We can build up their, I think, what is the national per capita income in Mexico a year? It's like $5,000 a year or something.
I don't know.
$5,000 US.
Yeah, I don't know. I assume it's low.
Yeah, we can boost that, and you can't tell me if that's the per capita income for each year that we can't pay them a good wage, that we can't competitively manufacture in Mexico versus China, because a lot of the stuff that they're not thinking about, the overhead and is just the time, the opportunity cost, really, the time that you take between placing a large order, a bulk order in China, and then receiving your product. We still don't have Baby Yoda.
We still don't have Baby Yoda.
What's wrong? We knew that we needed Baby Yoda in November. And now,
due to the coronavirus, we will not see Baby Yoda.
Now it's almost April and we still don't have Baby Yoda. That's China. Yeah. That's the problem. If we had Baby Yoda made in Mexico, we would all have Baby Yodas. Today. We would have had them in January or even December in time for Christmas. We would have had Baby Yoda.
Yeah.
That's what this is really all about.
Baby Yoda.
This is what really makes me mad and keeps me up at night.
By the way, the Baby Yoda party is postponed.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Unfortunately.
We can't have any gatherings.
We can't have gatherings. It's not safe for anybody. Plus,
plus, there's no Baby Yodas at Build-A-Bear or anywhere.
Yeah.
Their estimated delivery was May, but I don't think that's happening.
My mom just bought some of the animatronic ones, like the ones that we saw on the screen last time.
Yeah, I pre-ordered one of those, I think.
She ordered a couple of them, and the expected delivery time is December.
My goodness.
So it's going to take forever to get Baby Yoda, and it's just not right.
Well, if Baby Yoda's slow, imagine what else is slow. There's a lot of things that we need in this world that we, like we said, medicines, computers, components. There's so many things that are so important that we entrust China with that I would argue we should not. I'm with you. We should not do that anymore.
No. And I think this is...
It should be domestic or it should be to our neighbor.
It's blaringly obvious that we need to make changes.
I'm coughing, but I'm not sick. Sorry.
I'm just glad that you weren't freaked out about me.
Lee just ran. I'm just kidding.
I'm just glad that you weren't freaked out about me when I first came here. I got exposed to a bad orange that was covered in mold and made me sick with allergies for like 3 days.
I read one of the symptoms was not runny nose.
Was not sinus issues?
Yeah.
Congestion?
Yeah, you it was not the same, so I was not concerned.
Yeah.
Also, whatever, if you had it, you had it. We deal with it. It's fine.
Oh, and another thing is I'm seeing a lot of people in California that are becoming very pro-gun.
Oh, yes.
Very pro-gun. They might have, there's an individual I won't name that's probably listening, but
went out and got a shotgun.
He went and picked up a shotgun and then apparently was feeling guilty about it because he bought it in his younger years. It's like, why? There's nothing
because he's
wrong
afraid of being canceled. I mean, that's the problem with cancel culture, is you start saying all this absurd stuff because you're worried about the backlash.
And then that you can't change your mind. You can't go back on it. Of course you can.
Yeah.
Of course you can.
And of course, a lot of people are like, oh, you get a free pass right now on guns. We totally understand.
But here's the thing. If you had banned those, if you had restricted those, guess what you would not have available today?
A gun.
A gun.
Yeah. So
I'm glad. I'm honestly glad to see this influx of new gun owners because stores in California previous to these lockdowns were becoming flooded with
Well, the
people
only
buying
sad
guns.
thing is that there's no real way to practice right now. And so you've got all these gun owners that don't know how to shoot them.
Well, if you're in Oakland, you can practice.
They have a range in Oakland?
No, I'm just joking. You just shoot in the alley.
Oh.
They have so many gunshots, it doesn't matter.
Well, please don't do that.
Yeah, no, don't do that. It's not safe.
Yeah, not
I'm
safe.
joking.
Yeah, Leah's joking.
Don't cancel me. Oh, wait, you can't cancel me.
Yeah.
Never mind.
You can't tell jokes.
Mm-hmm.
Jokes are not allowed.
No, it's terrible.
We're not professional comedians.
Mm.
You know what we need to do is we've got to go make like $1 at a nightclub so that we can tell people we're comedians and actually like professionally we're allowed to make jokes.
Oh yeah, I'm professional. I've been paid.
Yeah, I've been
It's-
paid. I got compensated
just-
for my jokes.
It's not just open mic. I got
Yeah.
paid.
I got paid. I'm a pro. Then you're allowed to. Then you're allowed to crack jokes.
No, you do have a bet about stand-up comedy.
I do.
Is that November?
I do. By November,
Mm.
yes, I have to get up and perform something.
Five
To an
m-
audience of
5
60
minutes.
people or something? 5 minutes?
Yeah, you have to have a 5-minute routine.
So I'm doing a comedy challenge.
Uh-huh.
What should I do it about? Chickens?
I don't know.
Chickens is something everyone can relate to. Coronavirus.
You could throw it in there.
Corona chickens.
You know, coronavirus might be something you can make fun of by that time.
Maybe. I don't know. It might be too soon.
Yeah, I know a
Might
lot
be
of people
way
would be
too
sensitive
soon.
about it right now. I have a gallows sense of humor, so I make fun of it in my mind all the time.
Yeah.
But I see very funny situations, and it kind of gives me some chuckles.
Yes.
I can take pleasure in it, but I don't have to express those because I know it's not the best time.
Yeah, not the best time. But timing is everything
Mhm.
sometimes. um, especially in comedy, like comedic timing matters. I'm not a very funny person. I can make some particular specific people laugh
Mhm.
who have my sort of sense of humor and I can get them going. But that's like rare. Those people
You know what you need?
are special.
You just need your octopus story. You need to find your octopus story and just roll with it.
Yeah. Well, Emily is funny.
She is.
She's funny and she's got that octopus story and it's something. But I think in order to like go there, you've got to go. I mean, the great thing about the octopus story, which hopefully we'll have told on the podcast
Yeah, we
today,
can't tell it. We'll
is
let her do that.
it's graphic and it is lewd and it involves
It's almost
sex and all. It has all of the like.
It's almost aristocrats.
Yeah, it's like the aristocrats of the octopuses.
Ooh, octopuses.
Sorry.
She
Ooh.
will come down on you.
Octopus's world, right? So that's what makes it so funny. So I gotta find what is the aristocrats of like the knitting circle, or the aristocrats of chicken keepers,
Mhm.
urban chicken keepers, or I mean, you could go with the poopy butt stuff, but like, I mean, that's kind of low hanging fruit.
Yeah.
That's just too easy. So I don't know. I'm looking for ideas. If you got any ideas for my stand up routine,
Send them on in.
send them in.
Well, I think that will probably do it for today.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to do these more
But
frequently, so
they're
they'll
gonna
be
more
shorter.
frequent. Yeah.
Yeah. So what should be the hashtag that proves that you listen to this thing all the way through?
Knitting circle.
Hashtag knitting circle.
There you go. Hashtag knitting circle.
And if you listen to this, I'm going to start doing that at the end of every podcast because it was really fun. Like some people, sent me a little hashtag letting me know that they,
Rubik's Cube.
Rubik's Cube.
Mhm.
The hashtag is not Rubik's Cube. It is hashtag
Knitting circle.
circle. So if you made it this far, thank you so much. We love you. All 10 of you. And
Our tens and tens of listeners.
our tens
And
of tens.
you know what? Since we have such a large audience.
Oh, we have another non-sponsor?
No, I just wanted to remind people one more time about the excellent products from Prairie's Choice. They make a spectacular non-GMO backyard chicken feed. Run on down to your nearest Tractor Supply and pick you up a bag.
Where's the nearest Tractor Supply in San Francisco?
I don't know. I'm from Arkansas. They're everywhere.
I think there's Tractor Supply in like Half Moon Bay,
Awesome.
maybe.
Well, it's not too long of a trip. You just go see the sights
Go
and
to
pick
your
up some chicken
nearest
feed.
Tractor Supply, Amazon, and pick yourself up some chicken feed. All right. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Bye.
Regardless of your patches, these keystrokes go East Coast and worldwide. We own now. Find us and then sign us. We got the world behind us. And by that's honest, then doomsday is upon us. And this DDoS Adonis still making good on his promise. Your site know your firewall is trash. Your network is dead. Take a look at all of these graphs. Unbox and no stopping. That trace route stop hopping. Software that we backdoor. Root shells that we hack for. Toolbars and setups. Our payload stay FUD. We reflect your defects. It cause an older flood. We got packets on packets on packets on packets. Got packets on packets on packets on packets on packets on packets. Got packets on packets on packets on packets on packets on packets. Got packets. Cloudflare, we don't care. Anytime, anywhere. Plug you in on Datasphere, you out of here. No Sony, no Xbox. Your homies got less spots than we do. We feed you these packets that we bleed through. Your bleed you, your comms. Few terabytes of that strong. Through copper, through fiber, through air gaps and MacGyver. These packets relentless. They gum it up like the dentist. No access, molasses. When these bots in practice. You tied up, we fired up. So respect. You tied up, we fired up. So respect. This upstream is so brutal. The CNC stay brutal. We got packets on 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 packets. Got packets on packets on packets on packets on packets on packets. Got packets on packets on packets on packets on packets on packets. Got 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 packets on packets on packets on packets.